Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the work coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
All right. Well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either. I think it's. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like guaranteed. I don't have the tag on
here. Unless you have a membership
number
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Everyone in the background is saying, "Is he dead? Nolan, wake the up."
Claiming they're sinking and calling for help. And yet, in the background, are we really hearing all of this other activity?
Nobody has ever, none of the kids on this boat have ever admitted that anybody said that they thought Nolan was dead.
2 arrests, 2 states, 24 hours. The FBI is not chasing people. It is chasing a pattern. I need you to hear that first sentence twice, because if you miss what it means, you miss the whole story that just broke on August 1st. On that day, the federal government did something they almost never do this fast. They filed 2 separate federal charges in 2 separate states against 2 people who have never met each other over 2 threats connected to 1 case. The case is Nolan Wells. That is not normal. That is not routine. That is not paperwork. That is a coordinated federal response. And when the FBI runs a coordinated response like this, it usually means one thing. They see something the public does not see yet. Let me lay it out plain. On August 1st, a woman in Cincinnati, Ohio, was charged in federal court. Her name is Francine Edward. The charge came down almost the same day that a man in Sacramento, California, was charged for a similar reason. Both charges are tied to threats aimed at the same case. Both charges came out of the same 24-hour window. Both charges are on desks in the same federal building. The reason Michelle Edward is now in the system is because she is accused of making dozens of bomb threat calls. Not 1 call, not 2, dozens. She is accused of calling the George County Chancery Court over and over again. She is also accused of calling a second Mississippi government agency tied to the same investigation. Each call was recorded, each call was traced, each call is now sitting on a federal server as evidence. Now stop for a second and think about the geography. Cincinnati is in Ohio, Sacramento is in California. Between them sits almost every state in the country. 2 people, thousands of miles apart, who do not know each other, aiming threats at the same courthouse system in the same week. That is not coincidence. That is a cluster. And when the FBI sees a cluster, they do not just charge 1 person. They pull the map, they pull the phone records, they pull the internet traffic, they pull the account logins. They start looking at who else is inside the pattern. That is what is happening right now. That is what most of the news is not telling you. Now let me back up and give you the piece of context you need. The George County Chancery Court is not a random courthouse. It is the workplace of Judge Ashlee Cole. Judge Cole is the mother of Warren Hudson. Warren Hudson was the best friend of Nolan Wells. Warren Hudson was on the boat trip on July 4th. Warren Hudson came home. Nolan did not. So when someone in Ohio starts making bomb threats to the courthouse where Judge Cole works, that is not random anger. That is targeted. That is a person who did their homework. That is a person who knows exactly which judge in which courthouse in which county is connected to which family. And they are trying to bring the roof down on her workplace. That level of specific knowledge is what caught the FBI's eye, because random anger does not know a chancery court from a circuit court. Random anger does not know which building in which county to call. Random anger just yells on Facebook, but this person picked up a phone, called a specific number, left a specific threat. then did it again and again and again, dozens of times. That is not random. That is a campaign. And the woman in Sacramento, Joseph Alfredo Vasquez Dumarce, he did the same thing but on a different channel. He picked up his phone, opened Facebook Messenger, typed a bomb threat, and sent it directly to Judge Cole's account, not to a public page, to her account, which means he had to find her account, which means he had to know she existed, which means he did his homework too. 2 people, 2 channels, 1 target, 1 case, 1 24-hour window. You do not need a badge to see what the FBI sees. Here is what a threat cluster looks like on paper. You have multiple people in multiple states aiming similar messages at connected targets inside a tight time window. That is textbook. That is the exact fact pattern that federal agents learn to spot in their first year on the job. And when they spot it, they do not treat it like 2 arrests. They treat it like a network. Now, the question every family in this case is asking is a hard one. Is that network organic or is it organized? Meaning, did these people find each other on their own, whipped up by the same YouTube videos and the same TikTok clips? Or is there someone actually coordinating this behind a screen somewhere? The FBI is going to answer that question. That is what discovery is for. That is what a grand jury is for. That is what the paper trail these arrests just opened is for. And that paper trail is real. Every phone call Michelle Edward made was recorded on the courthouse phone system. Every messenger message Dumarce sent was logged on Meta's servers. Every login attached to those accounts. Every device tied to those logins. Every IP address that touched those devices. All of it is now inside a federal file. That file has a case number. That case number is going to sit in a federal courthouse for years. Once you are in that file, you stay in that file. There is no getting out. Here is why this matters for the actual death of Nolan Wells. Federal case files can be subpoenaed by other lawyers. When Christine Wonsley's attorneys start looking for a wider picture of what has been happening online around this case, they can pull records that were built up by the bomb threat cases. That means every piece of digital evidence the FBI collected while chasing Dumarce and Edward becomes available to a civil lawyer working for Nolan's mother. Nothing about that is small. That is a whole new box of evidence handed to the family, and they did not even have to pay for it. That is a gift the federal government did not mean to give, but they gave it. Let me slow down and talk to the older folks watching this, because I know some of you have been around long enough to remember what it used to look like when a black boy died in Mississippi and nothing happened. I know some of you have seen that story more times than you want to count. I know some of you are watching this case with a very quiet kind of dread. You have seen how it ends. You have seen it end 100 times. I want to tell you something. This one is different, and the reason it is different is exactly what we are talking about right now. In the old days, the government did not track anything. The government did not have Facebook records. The government did not have cell tower pings. The government did not have GPS on your phone. When something happened in a small county in Mississippi, the story got buried in the courthouse basement, and it stayed there. That is not how it works anymore. Now, every person who makes a threat leaves a trail. Now, every phone that sends a message leaves a trail. Now, every login leaves a trail. And every one of those trails ends up in a federal folder that a family lawyer can subpoena. The people who did wrong in this case, whoever they are living in a world that does not let you disappear anymore. That world is gone. There are cameras. There is GPS. There is metadata. There are backups. There are subpoenas. There is discovery. That is why the FBI moved fast, not because bomb threats are more important than a dead boy, but because the same tools that let them catch a bomb threat in 48 hours are the tools that are going to catch whoever hurt Nolan Wells. And the government wants to show loud and clear that those tools work. Now, I want to bring your eye to something specific about the Michelle Edward case that most people missed. She did not just call the Chancery Court once and hang up. She is accused of calling dozens of times. That is a compulsion. That is a person who could not let go. That is a person who was so wrapped up in this case that they stopped being able to live a normal life. They spent their days dialing a number in Mississippi. They spent their nights refreshing their news feed. Parasocial, that is the word for it. When a person you have never met in a place you have never been becomes the center of your emotional life. It happens more than we want to admit. It is happening all over America right now. And the Nolan Wells case, because of how much footage of Nolan there is online, because of how young he was, because of how his mother has held her ground in public, has become a magnet for people who need something to focus on. Some of those people cry into their pillow and pray for the family. That is fine. That is human. That is what a decent person does. Some of those people donate to the family. That is fine. That is generous. Some of those people share the story. That is fine. That helps. But some of those people, a small, ugly slice of them, pick up a phone and dial a courthouse and leave a threat. That is where humanity turns into something dangerous. And that is the slice the FBI just started arresting. There is going to be more. Understand that. 2 arrests in 24 hours is not the end. It is the beginning. The FBI does not open 2 threat cases in the same day unless they have a bigger board they are working from. Somewhere in a federal office right now, there is a whiteboard, and it has more than 2 names on it. There are probably 5 names, maybe 10, maybe more. And every name on that board is a person who thought they were anonymous. Every name on that board is a person who thought their VPN was enough. Every name on that board is a person who thought no one would ever come knocking. They were wrong. Every single one of them was wrong. Let me tell you what happens next in cases like this. The FBI takes the 2 people they already arrested and they squeeze them. Not physically, legally. They offer a deal, cooperate, name your connections, tell us who you were talking to, and we will consider dropping some of the charges. Federal prosecutors do this every day. It is how they climb from small fish to bigger fish. It is how they turn 2 arrests into 10. If Michelle Edward or Joseph Dumarce were part of any online group where the Nolan Wells case was being discussed, that group is about to have a very bad month. Every screen name in that group is about to be pulled. Every message is about to be read. Every private DM is about to end up in front of a federal agent with a stack of coffee and no patience. That is where the pattern goes next. That is what a cluster operation looks like when it starts to bloom. And here is why the family lawyers on the Wells side care about all of this. When the FBI is pulling records on the fringe of this case, the fringe touches the middle. The people who were obsessed enough with this case to make threats about it were also probably obsessed enough to be in every online space where the friend group's real information got leaked or discussed or shared. Some of them may have talked directly to people close to the friend group. Some of them may have been tipped off by someone with real information. The government cannot pretend they do not see that connection because they are the ones who built it. They arrested the people. They opened the files. They started the discovery. Now the tree is going to grow. I want to leave you with this thought before we close out. 2 federal arrests in 24 hours over 1 case in 1 week over 1 county courthouse is not something you see once a year. It is not something you see once a decade in most small Mississippi counties. This is a scale of federal attention that only lands on cases the government has decided will not be quietly forgotten. That decision has already been made. The FBI has already told us, without saying it out loud, that this case is not going away. Now, the only question is who they arrest next, because I promise you this, there will be a next. And the mother of Nolan Wells is not going to stop asking until that next name is the one she has been waiting to hear. Stay with this story, watch the pattern, and do not let anyone tell you the FBI is not paying attention. They are paying more attention than the town of George County ever expected they would. The board is filling up, and the next name that hits it may not be a stranger.